Good morning, with Jazz Stephanie. I have some notes about writing. I want to thank Azren from, I'm going to put his link below because I forget his YouTube handle, but he's Language Nerd or something like that. Anyway, it'll be down in the show notes. But he's been talking a lot, not just about language learning, but he's been talking some about writing and difficulties with writing and pushing through and trends in writing, genres, and different things. And I love this subject so much. And so I had a brain fart yesterday at work where I wrote down a bunch of ideas that connected together, because it feels like for me, there's a bunch of things that always keep coming back to writing. And there's a few good canaries in the coal mine, if that can be a possibility, of things that have been happening over the past few months to lead me back to writing. Just to quickly recap, I did a lot of research on writing with second language learners in my graduate school studies, had my one publication two publications. One was how to study Spanish in Argentina years and years and years ago. It just was a review of different language schools. But this publication is my only academic publication, and it was just cited recently by somebody in Indonesia. Thank you. But it's second language learners, which I hate the term because it assumes that people only have one language as their first language, but that's a whole other video. But it was with my own classroom of international students and the different technological tools that I use to help them. In that particular case, it was Google Docs. Anyway, so writing fluency is something I'm really interested in. And like Azren, I really struggled when I first started to write as a child. I don't know if it's because my quote-unquote first language was supposed to be Italian and that mucked up my ability to think and to produce in English. I have no memory of knowing Italian. I do not speak Italian. I have not in my memory spoken or written Italian, but for some reason I think it may have interfered with my normal production of the English language in written form. However, because those struggles were so hard, I feel like it pushed me really far, and because my life was so crappy as a child, I feel like I wanted to express myself somewhere private, and I think that led me to writing, and that really, really kept me in writing as a form of expression for a very long time. Very, very long time, well into my 30s, which is a while ago. And so watching the School of Life video that I'm going to put in the show notes really pissed me off last week, because they made it sound like the artificialness of writing as a form of expression is something that has happened but should stop because of all the reasons that they mention. And that really triggered me, because as much as I agree with that with my lifestyle, because of my history, I came to writing as an expression because of my isolation and crappy childhood. That doesn't mean that it is an awful way to express yourself, or that it isn't a different form that can exist as a beautiful thing. So I normally like the School of Life, and I like their ideas, I like their videos, I like what they're doing in the world, but I really had a visceral reaction to this video. So be curious to have you watch it and to kind of tell me I'm overreacting, because I'm not going to stop watching them. I think they do really good stuff. Also, what happened recently is that I interviewed someone who's from China, Xing, hi, and moved to Scotland and moved back to China. And he was in Scotland for like 5 years. And during the interview for my podcast about living in a different country, he brought up writing, and we had the really, really fun discussion about writing in different languages. And he talked about his personality in English and in Chinese when he writes in those two languages. And that is infinitely fascinating. And I've been trying to think of, since that interview, how to incorporate talking about writing with the 3 projects that I have, 2 about living overseas and 1 about learning the Chinese language. And I don't know that any of that's going to happen now, but watching Azren's work and these other things that have been happening recently, I'm really, really starting to want to include talking about writing and writing in different languages, which I can't do, which is part of the obstacle. So I'm really, really trying to figure this out, because I feel like that's the next project, or it's part of one of the 3 projects I already have. And so this is more of like me documenting when this is coming to the forefront than anything else. But also asking you, within the 10 seconds I have left, what is your relationship with writing? Have you written in other languages? Do you, like Xing said in his interview, have a different personality in different languages that you write in? Sachin.